Polyamory has been on the rise as of late, so I did some article reading to get a broader perspective on the topic. At face value, I obviously disagree with the idea, but I wanted to see if I could find a more philosophical argument against it. I want to start with this quote from the article on realtalkphilosophy.org, which is not a Christian website. The article is called 12 Arguments Against Polyamory. Here's the quote. Many people claim that polyamory is a great idea in theory, but just not practical. It paints an idyllic picture of human psychology wherein any challenge can be overcome by communication, vulnerability, and rationality. But human beings are not rational. We are deeply complex, messy, and flawed. Polyamory doesn't take into account the reality of feelings of jealousy, feelings of possession, feelings of insecurity, fear, and abandonment that naturally arise. Now, I want to begin by emphasizing how bothered I am with how our society views relationships. Relationships shouldn't primarily be about personal pleasure, self-expression, or identity validation. We've got it all wrong. The modern focus on pursuing relationships for those reasons distorts the deeper purpose of relationships. Relationships are meant to reflect real commitment, sacrifice, and unity, and not just temporary satisfaction. Romantic relationships should be rooted in self-giving love, a love that prioritizes the other person's well-being and growth over selfish desires. Now, when relationships become about fulfilling personal wants or validating one's identity, they lose depth. This shallow view leads to people jumping in and out of relationships based on fleeting emotions rather than building something lasting. This way of thinking harms us. It feeds into an individualistic culture that overlooks the communal and sacrificial nature of real relationships. True connection requires trust, respect, and sacrifice. Qualities that don't thrive in a society obsessed with instant gratification. Our consumer-driven, pleasure-focused society glorifies individualism to the point of making relationships transactional. What can I get out of this? This mindset not only devalues relationships, but can perpetuate harmful ideas like reducing people, especially women, to their looks or other superficial qualities. Now, I've been reading The Symposium by Plato. I'm not finished, but this book dives deep into the difference between good and bad love. And one quote that stood out to me so far is, "A bad man in this connection is the lover of the common type, who loves the body rather than the mind. He is not constant because he loves something that is not constant. As soon as the bloom of the body fades, which is what attracted him, he flies away and is gone, bringing disgrace on all he said and promised. But the man who loves goodness of character is constant throughout his life, since he has become united with something constant." When relationships are built on love and care through both the highs and the lows, they thrive. But if they're built on money, attraction, or fleeting feelings, they crumble. When pleasure becomes the main goal, it often leads to emotional chaos, jealousy, insecurity, and turmoil. Without a foundation of commitment and mutual care, relationships are fragile and prone to falling apart. I once knew a guy who cheated on his wife for years. When he got caught, he tried to justify it by saying he deserved to be happy and that his life was miserable. That's a prime example of how prioritizing personal pleasure over commitment damages not just the relationship, but everybody involved. His family, everybody was impacted by his dumb decisions. Now, we need a better perspective on relationships, one that focuses on mutual sacrifice, growth, and emotional health. Relationships should help us become better people through love, loyalty, and shared purpose, not just be a way to chase personal happiness. If you want to date around, fine, but don't make personal pleasure your main goal in a partner. Relationships are about more than feelings. Love takes action, sacrifice, and genuine effort. Stop treating people like objects for your own selfish pleasure. It's disrespectful and honestly gives me the ick. Relationships can be so much richer when we approach them with the right mindset and heart. Personally, I think the Christian idea of sacrificial love for one another is one of the best ways to understand and live out that depth. But that's my worldview. So